All right, today on BTF, the missing persons report. Team Psycho's winning ways since match day 1, nowhere to be found. Is it finally 2016 again? Your Capcom Cup champion has entered the ring. And 3 weeks, 18-3, an 86% win rate. And it is still not Bonita time.
We don't believe in bad matchups, baby. The only bad matchup we believe in is me and Stairs. That's it.
Come on, man.
Welcome back to Beyond the Fist, the Street Fighter League livecast talk show presented by Toga TV. I am your host, togashiazrael. That was Broly Legs being funny, and he had a lot of those last week. And this is episode 6. Week 6, match day 5. Joining me tonight, of course, your usual panel of experts. First up, Vancouver Street Battle and world-renowned claw specialist, Geki. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Next, the newest Twitch streamer from Vancouver Street Battle, Grandmaster Fong. And, of course, you will see him this weekend at Combo Breaker. Shoutouts to Mortsy.
Yay! So excited. Very excited. You're pointing at the wrong one. Oh wait, no, you're not. Nope. All right, whatever. Yeah.
We're live. It's okay. And finally, last but not least, your BTF weekly dose of freedom. Say hello to SplicedHelix. How are you, sir?
What's going on?
All right, all video footage from today's livecast is used with permission from Capcom. Follow the SFL and the Capcom Pro Tour on Twitch at twitch.tv/CapcomFighters, on YouTube at youtube.com/CapcomFighters, and on Facebook Live, facebook.com/CapcomFighters. Button check time, gentlemen. First hit, let's take a look at match 1. Team Psycho versus Team Frost.
Dual Kevin is over there bouncing around.
I can feel the floor shakes.
Right. Somebody, we need to monitor his sugar intake, man. He's been hopping around over there.
Uppercut, no, not available there. Toy changing up his hurt box as well. Jumping in with a jump medium push.
Ugh. Toy's placement on buttons, you can tell he's a Bison player.
Oh yeah.
You can tell he's a Bison
It
player.
just makes so much sense the way he controls that stand fierce as well. He's really trying to swipe away with a fierce. He does that with Bison a lot of the time with that Psycho Axe. We haven't seen a single Bison.
We haven't been able to because they keep banning them. They don't want. Nobody wants to see Bison apparently.
Not a single Bison, not a single Flora, not a single Guile.
Scary, man. We did see Chun-Li, Cammy though. Okay, there's a Sizemon.
Not even an Ibuki. All right, cool. Out the crush counter conversion as well. In danger. And that's it. Yeah, up to snuff is going to be taking down the team captain.
And that is going to mean something.
If I remember correctly.
All right, gentlemen, up to snuff. It gets his Nikali on the board once again. But once again, only against another team captain's secondary birdie, Toy being the most recent victim. Toy's birdie continues to look like it is improving, even giving Up to Stuff's main Nikali a decently hard time. From the standpoint of Team Frost, should this first half performance by Up to Snuff, only beating birdie secondaries with his main Nikali, be a cause for concern going into the second half of the season? Geki.
I mean, you could tell with how of a white guy pop-off that was, that Up Snuff did. It was just not fully into it. He was like half committing to it. So I love the guy, but I gotta blame him for that. That looked terrible. Disrespectful to pop-offs everywhere. But I think he, like I mentioned earlier in previous episodes, go back and watch the episodes of Beyond the Fist, of course. He gets better the more he plays these people. So I think if anything, the next time he plays, it's going to be even more convincing and more in his favor because he's good at that, and that's what he does in the local scene every time he plays. So I think it's only going to go up from here. I don't see him going down. So I think it's not a cause for concern for the team.
SplicedHelix, of course, we saw, we were used to seeing, rather, Up to Snuff and his Wednesday Night Fights success stories. Did this look like the Wednesday Night Fight successful Up to Snuff to you?
It doesn't. It doesn't really. It really doesn't. I don't know why. I don't know what the X factor is. You know, fighting somebody secondary as opposed to fighting their main, but he's getting results. But he's getting results against, you know, people who are playing characters they're not as comfortable with as their mains, and I don't think that it. Ooh, things fell. I don't. I don't think that it's. I don't think it's necessarily something to be concerned about, but I think it's something to take note of. I'm gonna go fix that.
Mortsy, finish us off with this one. How do you feel about Up to Snuff's performance so far? And do you see him potentially maybe switching to that Akuma that looks so good in week 2? Or is this just Necalli needs to get better now and he's got to figure it out?
I don't think we'll see him switch without getting his Necalli banned again. I am actually going to go on the opposite end of this and say that I think it's just Toy getting better. Up to Snuff still is he's still winning, right? And he didn't lose a round in that second or that third game, so it's like I don't think he has anything to worry about. He's still won, and it would be nice to see him because we just keep seeing him having to play these birdies that are secondaries as opposed to seeing him. And I think before that, so then he lost to Psycho last week, I believe. In the mirror. I believe he got trounced in the mirror.
Yeah, he did.
So, but I feel like the mirror is always going to be wacky, like regardless of the character, a lot of the times. So I'm going to let that one slide. And then before that, we saw the Akuma against Team Inferno, I think. Yeah. Was it Team Inferno?
Yes.
Yeah, because it was Punk who was feeling cocky and banned the true best player on the team. So I think Up to Snuff's doing fine. I think he's fine. His opponents are getting better at their secondary.
All right, so we'll leave the So we will leave the topic of Up to Snuff there. Hopefully he does find a way to really showcase that Necalli, which we haven't seen much of yet, going into the second half of this one. Here's your next clip, gentlemen. Let's talk about Nephew.
Wait, it was a throw bait. Dash right up to him, spent that V skill. You reach, I teach. Shout out to Range. Oh, nice response there from the pinwheel. Using the counter to use the command grab to counter. Excuse me. Most of the time when it's your turn, you kind of want to counter hit with with a normal because it's not their turn anymore. But using the command grab is so smart. It's 2 steps ahead. It's air.
Just a kid playing the space game right now.
Damage there. Not much he could have done without spending the meter off of that hit. Ops just save it.
Oh, no anti-air. He uses that splat to try to get in. Now he has the corner, though. This is the final round of this match. Oh, the jump back jab. That was good. Toy with the vocal. Ooh. Gotta let that trigger run. Oh no, he can confirm off of that.
Oh, that should be just enough.
Oh no.
Dead.
All right, after a dominating performance last week with Colleen, Team Psycho opted to return the target ban to Nephew, banning Colleen and forcing Nephew once again to his G, where despite a seeming resurgence from Just a Kid, Nephew managed to pull off the 2-1 win using 4 critical art finishes. We talked about this before. It's more critical now going to the second half. Should other teams continue to target Nephew on Team Frost? Mortsy.
It's getting to the point where it's kind of like a Punk / Jaywong thing where do you bother banning the character when the guy has... Like, regardless, you're going to have to play against the stronger character, right? Or not necessarily the stronger character. Unless, like, I believe it is the same conversation. Basically, hey, does Colleen or G have a ridiculous matchup against the rest of your team? No, ban a specialist. As opposed to banning him. Just because how it's either, I think I've laid this out before, but basically it's, do I play against a nephew who is on a very strong character, or like he's comfortable regardless of what character he plays on, and so you always have to play nephew. But then if you ban one of his characters, he's still there, but everyone else gets their main too. So you can, instead of doing that, you can ban away one of the specialist characters. Although we have seen up to snuff's Akuma is still very good, but make them, the weaker players, play one of their worst characters, so that you knock them out, as opposed to nephew, who will always be a contender regardless of which character that you ban. So I think you swap the target, whether it's I mean, it'll probably be what? Sorry, I'm forgetting here. Yeah, no. Oh man, you banned dual Kevin's Rashid. Jesus. Like, who am I forgetting here? Yeah, no. You get rid of the Rashid, or the Nikali, I guess. But I don't know. Like, we haven't seen dual Kevin's. I think we have seen dual Kevin's secondary. It's also G.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think it's. Oh God, I hate G. Yeah, it's tough, but even then, you're not getting rid of nephew by banning his character, basically. So it's better to ban one of the other guys because they have a weaker.
All right, Geki, put yourself in the position of the potential next opponent for Team Frost. Who do you target? What's your strategy?
Well, I was talking about it with Venusaur, and we think that
That's adorable.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and we were talking about it, and he and I both agree that banning dual Kevin is the right choice, or even up to snuff is viable as well, only because that you're hurting the team more by banning a character specialist than by banning someone who can play multiple characters like nephew. And not even the, like, if you look at that clip, that is some sloppy G until the very end, where he does a nice pick up off of a hit, right? But in terms of basic neutral and choices in spending meter, using V-trigger, doing certain knockdowns, certain combos, they're not optimal by any stretch of the imagination. So he's getting away with a lot of, I think the opponents are struggling because they are not comfortable with G in general. So there's a lot of stuff they're not punishing, there's a lot of stuff they're not looking for, and there's a lot of stuff they're not dealing with. And maybe it's because of Nephew's name or the presence that he puts on the screen when he's playing. And I think the conversation would be the same with Colleen, except he would be more efficient at beating them. So I think banning a character specialist like Up to Snuff or Dual Kevin would be more beneficial in hurting the team. So
I don't know. I think.
And Venusaur also says Solar Beam.
Up there with this Colleen. I think it's getting to the point where it's almost balanced. And
I think G is whack.
And yeah, you know, did you happen to see that DM I sent you, Toga?
With the other video clip, I don't know if I can bring that up right now because I actually didn't prepare it, but I will talk about it. Oh, the first one, you mean the first DM? I will. Yeah, I did not get a chance to queue it up. The gist of it is Tasty Steve going on a rant, which is fantastic, by the way, about how G is the bane of his existence as a player, and I don't.
It makes a good case for nephew. He's got a character that people hate playing against, that has an insane comeback factor, and you know Venusaur might agree, but my buddy here, he thinks G is trash too. Yeah, so.
You say G is trash?
No, trash to play against. Not a bad character by any means.
You know what? If he didn't have V-Trigger 1, I wouldn't care.
You don't think so?
No.
V-Trigger 2 is cooler, in my opinion.
Maybe it's cooler, but it doesn't. It's not like V-Trigger 1 is it's the robbery factor.
Yeah.
That is the matchup against. I was talking in the US West Discord, and they were talking about the G Monot Discord, or the G Monot matchup, where the matchup does not matter until like 40 seconds left, because that's when both characters will probably have V-Trigger, and that is the only thing that matters. The rest of the match doesn't matter. It's only once they get V-Triggers does anything actually happen.
See who can rob harder.
Exactly, and it is insane. At least Monot has to do like semi-difficult things. You know, like G just
That
it's
are
like the kid.
reactable.
You know there's the video of the kid mashing beside Daigo. That's kind of how I imagine G players,
Wow.
except for Gustavo. That's it. All right.
That's quite a strong argument to make. We are seeing more and more G players, of course, coming out of the woodwork. We talked about Gustavo before. We talked about Danka Diaz before. We all know that this character is dangerous, but everyone seems to downplay it, and we're seeing results in the Street Fighter League, on the Capcom Pro Tour. This will only continue to snowball as the president racks up the votes for victory. Geki, last word on this.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I am not downplaying G by any stretch of the imagination. Totally agree with you guys. But these players aren't playing as well as they should be against G.
Well, that's part of the matchup, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fair. Like you're saying, they're not playing as well as they should.
exactly. For how well you know how to fight Akuma, Kami, a bunch of other characters that are popular, you are missing a ton of stuff against G that you're not checking, you're not dealing with properly, you're not using your character's strengths in the matchup.
Fair.
That's it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Well, they do say knowledge is power. We'll have to see if people figure this stuff out as the Street Fighter League moves along. One more clip for you guys from this first matchup. We touched on Dual Kevin and his Rashid, and some of you have touched on the fact that he should be banned, or should be targeted for the ban, when you're playing against Team Frost. Take a look at this.
If Dual Kevin does it today, if he takes down Chakotay, that could be a full 3 sweep that could really change the standings for Team Frost. And Team Psycho really struggling to stay alive right now.
Oh, the down forward fierce.
Look at all the gray life and the chip damage. One hand, Nadeshko, call out, Irish whip, reset, incoming.
Oh, crouch throw. That gray life just about healed up, but just gets a little bit more. Crush counter on the standing fierce. Sets up the trigger, gonna use it for that power up. Tick throw. That's one. Tries to go for the overhead. I like the delay get up.
Oh, that's gonna be it. Dual Kevin seals it for Team Frost, getting a solid 3-0 sweep.
All right, guys. Dual Kevin has shown throughout the first half of the Street Fighter League the strength of his mental game. We see him like being sort of a sideline coach for his entire team, being like the analytical source that this team actually has. On the other side of the coin, though, El Chicote, just a kid, Toy, understandable. His character is not even playing. Just a kid started hot, fizzled out. El Chicote, missing persons report. We have no idea where he is. So, first half, bottom of the table, you are Team Psycho. What do you do to change things up? SplicedHelix.
I don't know that you can. You'd have to have somebody on that roster that can pull a Nephew or a Knuckle Dew or a Punk and have a second character that's enough of a threat to move the bans around, which isn't going to happen. You're not going to have them not ban Toys Bison. It's just not going to happen because it's too strong. The guy's good on Bison. Everybody knows that. And number one Birdie NA or not, it's not as good. So unless you find a way to make somebody a threat outside of Toy, I don't see it turning around. I just don't.
All right, Mortsy, we saw how hot Just a Kid started, and then all of a sudden just fizzled out. I think it's either he's playing against better players, or he's just mentally not there in terms of trying to figure it all out. Talk to me about Just a Kid and what it is that he can do to sort of change his fortunes around since starting hot and finishing cold.
It's kind of shitty, but just start winning, dude. Just start. I think that's a really good point that SplicedHelix brought up, that there isn't another person on the team that's making a case to ban their character, which means that they're kind of stuck with what they have until someone starts winning. Chakotay almost is playing too patient. He's chilling way too much. It definitely looks like he's... But the other thing might be that he's just been... Based on his experiences while he's been playing, he can't go ham. he hasn't been able to. Like, I think every single jump in that he tried to do there got anti-aired by Heavy Mixer. So it's like, either he's being caged by his opponents well, or he's nervous and playing reserve because he doesn't want to get blown up, which he's getting blown up anyways. Like, he's been having a rough time. But Just a Kid is like the one who needs to be carrying and setting an example for this team, and it hasn't been happening since his first time where he swept. So, yeah. It's hard to say, but they need to start winning, because they definitely have the morale, I think, as with Toy and Chakotay as players on their team, because they are they're lively guys. They're fun to be around. Well, I don't know about Toy, but obviously Chakotay is. And so I can feel like the energy is there. They just need to start getting the results.
Geki, do you think that people will... We talked about this, like, weeks and weeks on end. It's like, who's cocky enough to let Team Psycho get Bison for Toy? So far in the first half, not so much. In the second half, with this much of a lead against the field, do you really think that we're going to see Toy Bison maybe even once in the last 5 weeks?
I think there's only one way we see Toy Bison ever in this entire series. Is one, either Punk gets really cocky and Toy talks a lot of trash to him, and then he doesn't ban Bison, and then we see it in some form. The only other way is that at some point before the season's over, one player that is not Toy destroys a team, like makes it look completely free and there's no chance. Like, this character is like, pulls a Samurai, for example, right? Makes it seem like, damn, should I really be banning Bison when this is running wild on teams? But the thing is, they've fought everybody now, right? All the teams have fought everyone once. So you just have to get the revenge now. But that's going to be much harder to convince people that, like, oh, this is not a fluke, or oh, this is beatable. So less likely, I think, the second option, but the first option I think is more likely to see Bison. Other than that, I think he's going to be locked away in his throne room, not being bothered. He's just going to be reading his newspaper, no big deal.
You mean counting Bison dollars on a Tuesday, right?
Exactly.
All right, so hopefully Toy does get out of that situation. We would like to see the Toy Bison at some point. Maybe when they're no longer in the running for those top 2 spots to continue for the next season. We will have to see. Hopefully, though, Team Psycho does find a way to turn it around, because they did start hot, and we did see how good Just a Kid can be. Let's hope he does, in fact, find a way to wake up and make things relatively interesting. All right, guys, you got your licks in, and I'm talking about punches, not what Geki does at the beginning of the show. There it is. Okay, because he didn't do it at the beginning of the show, oddly enough.
I didn't.
Okay, time to bring the hammer down and make them guess. Let's get into the 50-50s, and we're going to start with just this one first. Before we even get into the matches, we're just going to start with this one.
You see this? This is real right here. Yo, Shine, I know you lost.
Don't do it, Steve.
I know you lost.
Don't do it, Steve.
But it's here. It's right here.
Steve, just don't.
It is right here. Yo, Punk. Yo, Punk. Yo, is it salt on this? Is it real salt on this? Yo, Punk, I give you $10 right now. I will give you $10, bro. Bam. Thanks, Rip. $10. I'll PayPal you right now. Just try it. Whoever downed it, I'm telling you right now, is OD. There you go. Get your ass over here. Get us a try. Look, real talk, just try. I got you. Just a little bit. I'm gonna just put a little. It's just a little bit on there. It's just a little bit. And you, but you gotta be real if you don't like it. If you like it, you gotta say so.
I'm gonna go put it on my book. Alright.
You don't taste it? Hold on, I'm gonna put some more in here. Hold on. We're gonna put some more in. We're gonna put some more on this bad boy. Boom. All right. There's no way.
That's a lot of salt. Did you
Man,
see how
shut
heavy?
up, man.
There's extra weight to his beads, so every time he does that, there's more salt.
Tell me that's bad. That's bad?
It's just like, it's not bad, but it doesn't, like, it's not actually bad, but it doesn't taste like the way. It tastes like a different thing. You know?
Right, that's the whole point.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Oh, you finishing that though? Give me this. No, get out of here. Go. Get out of here. I thought it was nasty, Punk.
All right, gentlemen, your first 50-50, nothing to do with the Street Fighter League whatsoever, other than that clip that you just saw. Yay or nay, salted watermelon, Geki.
I've never had watermelon before.
Get
You're
out!
white.
Get out! Get out!
You're wearing a tank top.
I know. I'm sorry, dude. It's just one of the things I haven't tried. We've gone over this. Yeah.
I can't believe Venusaur had to hear that out of your
sorry,
mouth.
dude.
My God.
Chat is saying, oh my god, get this man some watermelon right now.
I'm buying watermelon from Costco. You're coming over. We're gonna eat half of it.
Alright. That's the deal. That'll be the payment for helping you move.
Housewarming party with salted watermelon. So, Geki, you didn't actually answer the question. You're just talking about the fact that Mortsy has never had watermelon. So, obviously, he cannot...
Watermelon!
So, he cannot actually say yay or nay to salted watermelon. So, SplicedHelix and Geki, answer the question.
Oh my gosh, yes. Both my parents are from the South. I'm black. Salted watermelon is like a thing growing up the entirety of my life.
Alright, Geki, answer the question so we can actually get into the Street Fighter.
Okay, so I haven't tried it, but I will try it, of course, because it's like a small thing, right? I'm not confident in the flavor being better than fresh, pure watermelon without the salt. So, my stipulation would be I would try someone else's watermelon first. I wouldn't ruin a piece of my watermelon with salt.
They're both good.
And also, does it matter if it's what kind of salt? Because that's a big indicator for me too.
Just table
It's not
salt.
like we're pouring sea salt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's table salt.
Himalayan salt, because I'm a Himalayan salt guy. So, yeah.
I knew chat was going to have fun with this one as soon as I said salted watermelon and everybody watched the clip. Because chat is going crazy right now over salted watermelon. And I will tell you guys, as a Filipino, we actually eat salted mangoes. So the idea behind that, the salty sweetness, is actually the same. I am game and 100% yay for salted watermelon. 100%.
Whatever.
All right.
Freaking Canadians, man.
All right.
It's just me.
Now that
Just
we're
me.
now that we've addressed the issue and people in chat are like, "What? You're Filipino?" Yes, I am. Anyways, back to the actual Street Fighter League clips. I just wanted to get everybody's take on salted watermelon first because that was such a big deal. It was great.
It was funny. I
It
love
was-
this Rip coming in with the mic out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Rip off camera came in with the
Yeah.
salt shaker too, which was absolutely great. Absolutely great. All right, guys. Now that we've had a taste, get your salted watermelon ready. This is match 2, Team Gale versus Team Inferno. Check the first clip out.
That pun, though.
Actually,
That was actually
some
sick.
big brain plays. We haven't seen that bait quite some time. And it was only a matter of time before Rob TV actually fell for it.
What a check on the dash.
And he still converted it to a full combo. Great call there from Rob TV. Well aware of how JB wants to approach so far. But again, Rashid's just too strong with the corner carry.
He knows that he's switching between that fake jump game as well as that ground game a lot. Rob TV holding his ground. He does not want to get too close to Rashid. He knows how this goes. We haven't seen a reversal EXDP yet either.
The last time we saw that, we did get a big time punish. EX command grab going for the damage. Look at all the blocked medium kicks. Caught him backdashing, a ton of damage, and the side switch. This is crazy. JB could possibly do what he does. The dash
Let's
low.
go. You go for the legs. You go for the legs.
go.
You go for them.
Come on,
Nobody's got legs in this goddamn competition. Nobody's got legs. Not you, not him, nobody.
All right, there you heard a little quips from Brawly Legs. We'll get into his stuff in a little bit. But after being the target from other teams for the ban in the previous 2 weeks, we saw Nash and we saw Birdie from JB. JB's Rashid coming back with a vengeance. After a slow start against Rob TV's Nakali, JB was relatively dominant to close out the match and even gave NuckleDo a run for his money in this matchup. Your 50-50 tonight, in spite of last week's result where Karen's ban may have decided the outcome. Should the strategy moving forward shift towards targeting JB and guarantee a set win or hoping for a glitch in the Matrix with Punk losing if he doesn't get Karen, Mortsy.
So one thing I'm just going to touch on before I get into the question is that what I thought it was really interesting is when something I hadn't considered with this team is when they would fight up against Punk's team, where they're kind of screwed in ban terms, because like we saw now, because they banned, I mean technically not necessarily, but in this case it worked in such a way where they banned the Karen themselves, which resulted in Rob not having Karen, which forces him onto Guile. But if NuckleDu wants to play Guile, that means he has to play his Necalli, which, and I pointed a lot. I pointed this out in the very first episode on how they're kind of screwed if the bans work out in a certain way. Luckily, NuckleDu is able to split himself among so many characters, so it isn't as big of a deal. But in this case, it did force Rob TV onto that tertiary character, where it worked out anyways. So I actually liked the. I'm not super sure about the Karen ban. Rob TV's Necalli's sick. We haven't seen it at all. Came out and almost beat JB. Like, really down to the wire, almost beat it. I cannot believe you would ever Eagle Spike there. But I think it was more because he thinks he was just trying to get out, and EX Eagle Spike while Bot 5 Feature 2 just goes through without... it does what the old one used to do. Good times, man. What it used to be a Rashid main. Anyways, so I think the target ban, it's actually really interesting that they decided to not to target ban, but I think they felt because they both had a Guile player that they could pick Guile, or they could rely on the Guile to wind up against Punk's Colleen so that they could force that matchup, and it is garbage for Colleen. That matchup sucks really badly. It's better now. No, I'm saying that's really bad for Colleen. Yeah. Oh, which is why you say you like it. Duh. Yeah, so because they had two people who can play the same character, they can be like, yo, we can like basically guarantee this matchup happen, which means that we can guarantee putting Punk on a really bad spot. So I think that, in this point, the Karen ban was fantastic because they have an actual strategy because of the overlap in character, which is awesome. So I really liked it here, but it might not work out for other teams that don't have a matchup that they can exploit.
All right, we talked about this in our draft preview and in week 1. Geki. The three Canadians on this panel, eventually, once we all got our final picks in, we all picked Team Gale because we talked about their depth of character. Did their depth of strategy actually help out here?
Yeah, I think it did. I think we're not going to see this kind of strategy work often because people are basing their picks on bans based on the players and not the matchups, except the one other time where they banned Balrog, Brian S. Balrog. I think that was a matchup choice based on characters and not players, which was, I think, worked out for them. But this is another case where we see that happening. I think Mortsy is right, and then we're not going to see this quite often because of the overlap in characters on the other team as well. But I don't think there's a need to really worry because Rob's Necalli was actually pretty damn good for never seeing it before. And I'm sure he could definitely do more damage once we get more of a chance, especially against JB's Rashid, which is nuts. And a lot of people don't even like that matchup with Necalli. So the fact that he played it so well for having such little experience on paper was quite impressive.
All right, SplicedHelix, mixing up the question just a little bit with regards just to Team Gale themselves. One of the things that's lost in this shuffle is the fact that we have still yet to see Shine's Ibuki constantly targeted for the ban. Do you feel like you're missing the Ibuki at all in this case? Does it actually matter that Ibuki is the target ban for Team Gale?
I think it matters just because he's that much stronger with Ibuki, but I mean, the gameplay from the entire team has been, adequate, if not awesome. So, ban away, and let him take the L and let the rest of the team fill it out.
So the scary part about your last statement there was let Shine take the L and let the rest of the team play it out. Shine's only taken 1 L, guys. That jury's pretty good. Anyway,
Wait, he's only taken a single. There's no way he's only taken a single.
has it been 1 loss? I feel like he's only taken 1 L, maybe 2. Like he's won games with jury.
How many times has Gale lost?
Oh yeah, no, Gale has lost twice. Okay, so he's taken 2.
Yeah, so
he's taken 2.
Least 2.
At least 2. But I mean, the jury's putting in work too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll have to see if, like Toy and his Bison, let's see if eventually Shine does, in fact, with his #1 pick status, get his #1 pick and his #1 character in Ibuki during the second half of Street Fighter League. And I heard Mortsy say never, and I'm pretty sure that is going to be the case. We'll have to see. One more clip for you guys from this matchup, and this one screams freedom.
Of Punk this in all 6 of these weeks.
And again, Knuckle Dude trying to just space out Punk. Oh, sit him down. You saw the icicle step midway through. Sit him down again. Upside down kick, defying gravity. Here comes that V trigger 2 activation. Knuckle Dude trying to keep Punk contained. I like how the space between the booms isn't too far for Colleen to react using V-Trigger 2 to get all that damage like we saw before. We're not even going to see anything from Punk. That's going to be just enough taking off her flight. Knuckle Dude with the perfect.
With the perfect?
Dust.
All right, guys. That was Punk losing his first match in Street Fighter League play against Knuckle Dude, and it wasn't even close. Not close at all. I lost the question. Hang on. You're 50-50 for Knuckle Dude. Hiding Guile until now for a statement win. A stronger strategic move? Or should Team Gale actually be running the table if Knuckle Dude played Guile from the beginning of the season? Let's talk with our resident Guile player first, SplicedHelix.
Okay, no, you don't play him from the beginning. Simply because if you play him that strong, he's banned right out the gate. And can I just say, the air throws? I love the air throws. Can I just say that USA beating Russia? I just love it. I love it. And even though Inferno's my pick to win it all, Gao's my boy. And he did all the work. All the work. And I loved it. I loved it. So, just for this week, I'm rooting for Gale. Just for that. Shh, don't tell anybody.
All right, Mortsy, how impressed were you with the Guile play from Knuckle Dude, who ended up OCVing Team Inferno?
Well, for one, called it. 2, I still think teams have. We've kind of established. I think I pointed out before, as I continue to point to things, that a meta has kind of started to develop where you, unless this is the first time I think Gale has come out, or a team has come out with a strategy that makes sense, that doesn't feel dumb, I guess. That doesn't necessarily feel obvious, like the Karen ban specifically here. And mind you, it almost really didn't work out because they were down to their last person after, I think, well, it was just Knuckle Dude who swept. So even the strategy wasn't great, but it did allow them to take Punk down, which was obviously the most important thing. And then you kind of just have to rely on the matchup. But I just don't see people not banning Ibuki due to what I've said previously about you still have to deal. You ban Knuckle Dude Guile, and then now you have to deal with Shine Ibuki, who could sweep in his own right. It's the same thing with Idom's Laura. You ban a character from a player who basically specializes in that character. Thank goodness Shine plays other characters. Otherwise, Gale would have been way deeper in the red. Or at least, like, the fact that he has such a strong character just means that Dude gets to play whatever the hell he wants. And he has I think the only reason we really haven't seen the Guile is because he hasn't felt that there's a matchup he wants to bring it out in. But with this specific team matchup, I just love their strategy of what they did with the Karen band. Even though they hampered they kind of chopped off their own leg, and it worked out in the end. So you chop off your own leg and just chop 2 of theirs off thing. So I don't think he should have played it from the start. I also don't think it would have mattered. Honestly.
All right, that's fair enough. Geki closes off on this with how big of a statement win was this one for Team Gale, and how will they ride this momentum into the second half?
I think they're gonna ride it because Punk getting beat is gonna affect him mentally. Be like, okay, now I gotta watch out for these guys a little bit at least. I know Helix will strongly disagree with me here, but yeah, Punk is not invincible. But the thing is, like, just to go on what Mortsy said and elaborate a bit further, I kind of totally disagree in the aspect of him mentioning that it's like banning Idom's Laura, because it's not the same thing, because Laura is a single character that Idom can play at a top level. Every other character he can attempt to play is not even close. Like I said, he just finished the trials, he went through the demonstrations, he learned that one setup he saw on Twitter that one time, right? So it's no big deal. But Punk plays many characters at top levels. He's won tournaments, as we saw with another person on Team Frost, by beating Nephew's own main with Colleen, winning a whole tournament with Colleen only. So it's definitely not the same case, but I do think that NuckleDu bringing out Guile this late in the game really shakes up people's perspectives of Team Gale, and I think Ibuki will never be seen, although I do think Shine's Ibuki is not as good as Idom's Laura. So I think they're still going to have to base it on the matchup, because even though NuckleDu is better with with other characters like Cammy and whatnot, but his Guile is still the best. So if you can handle Guile, you can probably handle the other characters that he has, because I still don't think they're as threatening as Shine's Ibuki. But I don't think there's other teams that deal with both Ibuki and Guile on the same team. So it's going to be a toss-up, basically, every time.
I don't think there's any character that deals with Ibuki.
I think probably Guile or Ibuki deals with X.
Okay.
Need probably the Ibuki mirror match, and then Ibuki beats Guile.
But then you're just like, you're fighting mix-ups with mix-ups. It's not even like, oh, this I win. It's just, oh man, I'll just random him out too.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's G is the answer.
Yeah, or maybe Monot. That's the only thing I could think of, but I don't know.
All right, very interesting opinions on Team Gale. The three of us on the Canadian side of the border, of course, very, very critical about where they are in the standings right now. We talked last week, of course, about NuckleDu's questionable pick of G. Maybe they could be 4-1 right now instead of 3-2. Maybe. Still on top of the table, though, despite the loss.
So hard.
Mm-hmm.
God.
Despite the loss, though, Team Inferno still on the top of the table, courtesy pick of SplicedHelix. That's it for 50-50s. We got one more match to talk about in your final round. Gentlemen, let's talk Team Storm versus Team Spirit. Here is your first clip.
Or get out of jail free card after that. Good awareness there from Brian F, knowing the frame data, being able to punish the anti-air there.
Back dash, stand back at a distance. Oh, wow.
That's a two-hitter. Two-piece. Oh, yo, he floats over that.
I can't believe he actually cleared it. Has to be careful. Gets the crush counter. Ooh, full charge. Gets the chariot tackle, push back to the middle of the screen. Crouch jab into that EX Abigail punch.
Oh, to get the V-skill going. The sweep punish. And from Brian F. Nice momentum going towards Brian F's side. Keeping Urian locked down in the corner. Best believe you might see a headbutt coming from Classico. He does have the V-skill. He can use the regular one for the armor. Okay.
Ooh. Goes for the throw. Brian F doesn't give it to him. One more mirror left.
He's walking him down. Nice! Maneuvering past the fireball with the flips. Oh, anti-air, he tried it.
And that's gonna be the first game, Brian F.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, so that was Brian F. and his Abigail. Game number 1, and the reason I highlighted game number 1 is actually significantly important. Classico may have found himself psychologically damaged early, down 1-0 early in the set against a less than optimal but effective Abigail on the side of Brian F. After seemingly righting the ship in game number 2, Brian F. found a way to cage Classico with no answer to get out of the corner without taking damage. So, put yourselves in Classico's shoes. How do you recover mentally when your main character gets taken down early by an untested secondary? Did Classico actually recover from game number 1, or was Brian F. in his head the whole time from the outset? Mortsy.
I just think Brian F's a really good player. And Classico maybe went into it a little bit like, it's secondary. Like, I'm going to smoke this guy. And then he got smoked. He got ruined in game 1, and it was amazing. I like seeing Abigail play now because he doesn't feel bad to lose again. I mean, that's a lie. He still feels bad to lose. But he doesn't feel like he doesn't necessarily feel like I'm actually like losing to G, which is what I would the equivalent of losing to G now was what it felt like to losing to Abigail in season 3 or in 3.0. That's the kind of parallels that I would draw. But what I really thought was nice from Brian F. was that even with the armor, he just didn't care. As soon as he got him in the corner, and he didn't go in for anything. He just poked. What the hell is Urian supposed to do? His jab reaches just as far as your fierce. You're stuck there. Even like he has the armor, he's not gonna get. But he didn't actually use it until he jumped. Which, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that he jumped. Anyways, but yeah, it was just Brian F. playing fantastically, bringing out... This is the first time we have seen the Abigail, yeah? Oh, no.
Second time.
Second time.
Yeah, I was going to say. But I think he got trounced in that game. I believe. He got destroyed in the first time he brought it out. So this is... I also don't think Classico's that good, so... I feel like he's outclassed as a player to Brian F. It wouldn't matter. Like, Brian could have brought out his own G, honestly, and he would have smoked him. So, yeah, I just think that Classico had a tough time, and Brian was in control the whole time.
SplicedHelix, do you think that the boxer ban was more warranted than a Monot ban after seeing this performance from this Brian F. Abigail?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna ban somebody that you're looking for a character specialist, nobody's gonna think that Brian F. has an Abigail is gonna keep you in the corner like that when you're on your main. I guarantee you, Classico didn't. He set up shop in his head, and you asked how long it takes to recover from something like that mentally. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks when he's recovered from it.
That is a fair point. Like you said, he pitched a tent, camped out in his head, and that might have been it. Geki, you know Brian F. personally, as do I. Was this something that you were expecting to see out of him at all with this Abigail? We knew that he's a lab monster. We knew that he's going to be good with anyone with fundamental footsies. But Abigail, were you expecting this at all?
Of course. I've been a dumpster fan for most of my FGC life since he came out. I love Brian F. I love the Brian F. The Brian F. does good things. The Brian F. talks about good things. The Brian F. has good fundamentals. The Brian F. is, he knows what he's doing. So I'm a big fan of everything he does. Doesn't matter what he says or does in his personal life. I'm a big fan of everything. I can't be a big enough fan because I'm already the biggest fan. So I love the Brian F.
Geki, how do you feel about Brian F?
Pretty good.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
We need a GIF of Brian F. or his head on top of like the Rock's body, and it's like the Brian F. Because that's all I heard from Geki the entirety of that answer.
I have my mask somewhere. I just misplaced it.
You're on a scale of 1 to 10. When's the wedding?
He hasn't got back to me yet. Maybe you guys can clip this and forward it to him.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Well, Brian. Whether if he
Winning
is
season.
whether or not he is Brian F or the Brian F, it didn't matter. Both of them set up shop in the head of Classico. That's the first clip I wanted to show you. We have one more giant elephant in the room to talk about. I brought it up at the beginning of the show. A staggering 86% win rate over the last 3 weeks from this man. You guys aren't seeing one clip. You are going to see 3. Check this out.
Okay, look at the bottom of your screen, though. Full critical art for both players.
Yeah, just about on Justin's side, right? That reflect, you know he wants to get that trigger. EX Demon flip into the slide. Great air-to-air. Justin playing the spacing perfectly right now. Tries to go for an air-to-air. The delay with the fireball. EX just to get in. They're getting closer to that corner. Just a tad. 80 seconds now.
Ooh.
Be aware of the time. Full CA available for Justin. 1 bar EX for Samurai. Pacing. Kind of circling that spot. Duck, duck, goose. Who's going to move first? Oh, anti-air.
Don't get tagged. The more you get tagged, the better for Justin Wong. Ooh, he's going to play this lame game. Lame style working so well right now. And he's going to get more estate to walk back. But he's going to keep him locked down with the fierce, the strong, the strut.
Calls out. I like that activation to keep it safe. Shoots the red fireball, follows right behind it. Justin zoning to this corner. Jump back, has a drill to get out. Neutral jump just to make sure he stays in front. I like that. Oh, the Demon Palm, it works this time. Stuck in the corner, crosses himself up, back throw to get back in that corner. And look at this. Every game that Samurai has won has been a 30% life comeback against Justin Wong, who has around like 65.
Okay.
Activation.
Activation while having full critical art as well. 20 seconds left on the clock. He could just walk this back out. And yeah, let this gray life happen. Let this chip happen. With 13 seconds left on the clock. The exchange from the reversal. 10 seconds left.
Full CA. He's not going to have time. The CA might not last.
He has
to time him out. He has to time him out.
3, 2, 1, and that's enough. That's enough for Samurai. He takes it over Justin.
That has got to be some of the best damn Street Fighter I've ever seen. End up into it, and he's okay.
You'd be stuck for a while. You'd have to eat the whole thing, even in blocks.
Abigail punch, spins the bar on it. Parry.
Nice parry.
Side switch. Samurai. Showing you the tech. Gets the 4th throw in the corner. Double jab pushes him pretty far out. Goes for a medium punch fireball right after. I like those frames. Crush. Back hard punch gets the stun. And he has CA on deck. Will he spin it or will he save it? He's going to save it. Goes for a reset. Puts himself in the corner. On top of it, he has to block it all. No legs guarded. Samurai. Full control. Finally stops the series. About 60 seconds left on the clock. Walk up throw. He's still alive. That's a big boy.
He's dancing all over him right now. Abigail really needs to find a way out. No, does not. Samurai taking out another member of Team Spirit.
That could have went either way.
Okay, here we go. Samurai now on team battle point once again.
My heart is beating so fast right now. Walk understanding medium kick.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my legs, Stacey Steve. I can't.
Back throw. Another one.
EXDP big time.
What?
Punish. He's gonna activate.
Was that a bait? Psycho, you need this game. You need this game. T-trigger not in sight. Nice DP. Dash up. I'm not taking any more EX throws.
You saw the EX command grab. One more sequence for Samurai. Keep him on lockdown. Wait a minute.
He interrupted that? Dude, that's gonna be it. Samurai.
Yes! Let's go! Oh my!
Yo, you see how Samurai put the controller down like it was a katana? Did you see how he got up and slid it to the side?
That was ridiculous. That's all I'm going to say about it. But let's hear what you guys have to say about it. 18-3 over the last 3 weeks of play. 3 weeks. 3 OCVs, and quite possibly the most god-tier pop-off I have ever seen. The living Mortsy train, Samurai, continuing to show his dominance with Akuma. We saw the V-Trigger 2 with Necalli as well. 3 weeks is the majority of the first half of round-robin play, and he has carried Team... Wow, I forgot the name of the team.
At this point, you should just call it Team Samurai.
It's Team Samurai,
Yeah.
right? Thank you. Team Samurai. So I'm actually talking about Team Storm, of course. On the back of Samurai, 3-2, second in the standings after this obliteration of Team Spirit. Let's start with the worshiper of the Church of Lame, Geki. When is Bonita time?
I gotta loosen my shirt for this. This is, it's too tight right now. Oh, okay, well. So I've talked with my own panel, Beanie,
I don't get
Cat,
it.
and Venusaur. They all agree. Why are you not banning Akuma? Idom is nothing compared to this situation right now. Ridiculous. Can you imagine Laura doing any of the OCVing that Akuma can do as a character alone, let alone in the hands of a real-life samurai, Mikey? For God's sake, unban Laura. This is ridiculous. She is a basic to advanced to like high-level, intermediate level in Matsuda Jiu-Jitsu, and you have someone who has succumbed completely and mastered a fighting style in the worst way possible. Like, even the lore is enough for me to ban Akuma, let alone the player skill that is being displayed right now that you're watching every week, every time, every match, being the people that you don't think he's gonna beat, but he just beats them, versus just, oh, this person knows jiu-jitsu and he's kind of good at throwing and whatever.
Not gonna lie, when you started with basic, I thought you were going a completely different route.
We are, of course, talking about a certain a clip from a behind-the-scenes reference. Anyways, Mortsy shaking his head, saying it is never Bonita time. Are you sure?
That is 100%. Yes, I'm 100% sure. He's talking about, oh, he's mastered the Satsui no Hado. This chick claps and she summons lightning that stays.
Yeah, but he hits the ground and he summons lava.
Guile throws razor sharp air.
Are we really talking about the realism of Street Fighter right now? Okay, back to the point, please go.
Submarine in one punch.
Abigail puts people into the top of an invisible screen. And punches them like a punching bag. He's the Deadpool of this game. No, I just don't think, like, okay, so if we're going strictly by tier list, I'm going to base my understanding of this on the fact that, one, everyone seems to be forgetting how good Idom is, because he hasn't played Laura in the 2 days that he's been there. And the fact that everyone, because it's so easy to be like, oh my god, he's winning everything with Akuma, let's ban that instead. And then you let the lion out of the cage, but you put the other lion back. Like, they're basically equivalent, so maybe I could see some teams going, well, Laura is a bit lower on the tier list. We're gonna get OCV'd anyways, let's make it by a character that we can maybe beat just by, like, gimmicking the fact that she's bad. But I think every single one of those players has the utmost respect for what Idom is capable of doing. And I think also the volatility that Laura presents is also incredibly scary, as she's more similar to G and his method of winning the round, where he just blows you up in quick succession. But Laura, you don't even get a chance to, like, oh, I'll quick rise here. No, you get air reset, and you have to make those 3 decisions that lead to a 500 damage stun combo very, very quickly. You don't really have a chance, and that volatility isn't something that any of the teams feel they want to deal with, on top of the fact that he's just a good player in general. So, oh, and also because Samurai probably has a secondary that's a hell of a lot better than Idom's Birdie, right? That's the other thing that people, like, yes, maybe Samurai's like Akuma warrants a ban instead of the Laura. The issue is that you're unleashing a Laura, whereas you're fighting a little kitten, and in this case, you're putting the lion of Akuma away, and then you're bringing out a tiger. In this case, it might actually be the best analogy I've ever made because he might play Sagat.
Yep.
So,
Beautiful.
thank you. I really don't. I think teams would rather risk it and try and deal with Samurai instead of, because 2 teams already have, instead of trying. I still can't believe it. Team Storm and Team Frost, dude. God damn it. Team Spirit Team Spirit are hella letting us down. But anyways, yeah. So I think that people. Yes, it definitely, on any other team, maybe would still warrant a ban. Outside of, I think, if he was on Toy's team as well, same kind of thing, where if there's one specialist that is that good, but if the main person had, like, if he was on a team with, like, Punk or something, thank God he's not, because that would be disgusting. But if Samurai were on a team like that, then I could see, let's ban the Akuma, because it doesn't matter what we ban for Punk. But the way his team is structured, I just don't see them not banning Laura.
I agree with all of your points up to the fact that you've got proven destruction versus maybe destruction. You know, the dude is walking over almost everybody, like by himself, just about. So you've got this proven entity that is just mopping up everybody against, well, Idom's Laura is really, really good. He's a really, really good player. He might do as well. You've got a possibility up against a reality at the moment.
No, I guess that is fair. We are basing everything that we know about Idom's Laura based on what we've seen on CPT, what we've seen at Wednesday Night Fights, or not Wednesday Night Fights, NLBC. Thank you. What we're seeing in just in general, but with the course of, as we know, these 5 weeks were recorded over 2 days. You can ride a whole boat ton of momentum in 2 days, compared to if this was an actual week-to-week thing. So why wouldn't you try and stop the momentum that is coming out of Samurai right now? It's absolutely insane. Mortsy had a point, then Geki. Go ahead, Mortsy.
I was just gonna say that I'll let you guys next week. I'll let you guys know how the Laura Idom is, or how the Idom Laura is, because I'll get a chance to see it firsthand.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Yeah, Idom is in fact in Mortsy's combo breaker pool.
The only thing it's gonna do is reinforce my idea that I don't want to see this character. I don't want anyone else have to play against this bloody character. Unless I win, in which case, if I beat Idom, I will come back on my point and say, maybe we ban the Akuma, okay? That's it.
Beat him hard enough to where he has to pick Birdie.
Geki, your point.
I just wanted to make 2 points. First point, to clarify that I definitely do agree Idom could very well, and most likely, will OCV everyone as well. He is fully capable of doing so. He is an amazing player, super underrated because of his lack of traveling and exposure, unlike a lot of West Coast players, a lot of certain East Coast players as well. And people that know his skill will defend anyone that knocks him for sure. Like Brian F has been very vocal lately on Twitter as well. So definitely not knocking that, but to agree with what SplicedHelix mentioned is that, we've seen proven results as of late with Samurai. So the risk is you're just not getting OCV'd possibly, because it's already happening right now. So unless you adjust something in the span of a few hours or a day or whatever it is between the matches that they have, you got to do something drastic because it's not working, right? And I'll give you guys number 2. The last thing I'll say is a good metaphor or a good example of what's happening of someone who did have good success against unbeatable players from characters that are random, like Mika, for example, with El Chicote. So, for example, he beat Tokido, and he hasn't been beating anybody or getting in on anybody in a good situation here. Janet, we can see you.
Anything can happen in a live broadcast, including a panelist's girlfriend trying to sneak around. Oh my goodness, that was great.
So subtle. Oh my god, that was the best Vega cosplay I've ever seen.
So El Chicote plays Mika, and it's a similar situation because he's been caged in every match he's fought and basically lost because he can't start his offense. Now, Idom has slightly more experience against more experienced players
Weekly.
more often, but it's similar in that it's the same kind of style that we perceive as crazy strong. But this is offline Street Fighter, not online. This isn't a ranking online event, not discrediting Idom at all. I'm just saying, offline 2 out of 3 is much more safe than online 2 out of 3. Regardless if netcode is good between 2 players, regardless. But I'm just saying, the risk of caging Laura is a lot easier than caging Akuma, who can't be caged. Obviously, depending on the matchup, for sure, but I'd take that bet any day.
Mortsy, you raised your hand. I thought you had a point. Go ahead.
I might have, but now I just want to put 10 on Laura on Idom OCVing if they don't ban Laura. $10.
What? Because if it's like Canadian
$10,
I've got $1.
I'm not giving.
Oh my goodness.
Come on. Mine is more of a long shot than. I think that not banning Laura is more of a long shot than if the Laura goes unbanned, he OCVs. If that makes sense. I think that no team, like, if it gets unbanned, he's killing everyone. But I doubt it's going to happen. I do not think it's going to happen, and I cannot wait for when it does so that I can just reap in all the rewards and just the I told you so's will be amazing when he just annihilates everyone.
I would love to see Punk not ban Bison and Laura.
Yeah.
And and walk all over them, not ban Karen, and just mop the floor. That'd be the greatest thing. The best thing ever.
I want to see
every character gets mixed the same is the issue. So Bison, you might be able to get away with because although Toy is a V-Trigger 1 Bison, which is a little more volatile compared to V-Trigger 2, but when it comes to Laura, everybody gets mixed the same, man. Everyone takes the mix. When you're in the blender, it's all the same. Maybe, I mean, some characters have a DP, yada yada yada, but still.
Or projectile invulnerable moves that blow up Laura's offense. Just saying.
I don't have anything to add to that because I get mobbed by Laura all the time.
I do as well, but Nash. Anyways, mid-season prediction time. Here's the update on the standings officially as of match day 5, week 6. Team Inferno at 4-1, based on strength of wins. Team Storm, none of us saw this coming. Team Storm sitting in 2nd. Team Frost, none of us saw this coming either, in 3rd. Team Gale in 4th, picked by Mortsy and myself, with an asterisk next to Geki.
They're tied for 2nd. And they're the only team that beat Team Inferno.
Team Spirit in 5th, picked originally by Geki. And Team Psycho at the bottom of the table at 1-4. Here is your mid-season prediction, buy or sell. We are talking right now about the strength of Team Storm.
We're just ripping off TV shows now.
Yeah, my bad. My bad. The show's getting shut down. This is my bad. Okay, Team Storm. We're talking about how strong they have been over the last 3 weeks. Or Team Samurai, I guess. The top 2 from this season will make it into next season. Does Team Storm make it to next season? SplicedHelix.
Depends on how good Samurai does the rest of the way out. If it stays Team Samurai through the entire second half, then yeah, they absolutely are going. If they switch it up and Laura comes in and gets just completely worked for some reason, then no. But
and Samurai sweeps anyway.
I don't see it. I don't see it changing. I don't. I think
Geki.
it's gonna be like a freeway tie for second place.
Yeah, but that's sort of important then because of the strength of the wins, right? That's the strength of your win. That's why this three-way tie isn't exactly a three-way tie. Geki, go ahead.
I went to the Church of Lame on Sunday, so my faith is fully restored and my soul level is at maximum. So I'm gonna go back in and re-dip my cross, if you will, into Team Spirit's pool of.
Wow.
So
is that an
Team Gale?
that is an official
Inferno.
flip-flop back off of the fence, and you are going.
Forget Team Spirit Storm. Forget all the other teams.
Wow.
I'm a big fan of the Brian F. The Justin Wong is always great, and
Can we lock this in?
Yeah, somebody in chat actually clip this because Geki is flip-flopped from Team Spirit to Team Gale and is now back to Team Spirit. Correct?
Well, yep.
So at 1-4,
I already Toga. I already bought the ring. I already paid for the shipping and handling to get to the East Coast. So if Brian F doesn't respond, you're gonna learn some things. So, yeah.
All right, Mortsy finishes off on this topic. Team Spirit, or sorry, not Team Spirit, Team Storm, finishing in one of those top 2 spots.
I think their wins were flukes. I think that they are going to not finish second. I believe Team Gale will. And in fact, I think Team Gale's going to finish first.
No, they won't.
Yeah. They're going to beat they're going to win the head-to-head to Inferno again.
And they'll still be in 4th place.
Sorry?
And they'll still be in 4th place.
I mean, if they win the head-to-head, they'd be tied for first at point.
Well, that's assuming that Team Inferno doesn't play again.
Well, I mean, that's also assuming that Team Gale doesn't play again. I'm under the assumption that Team...
your logic, sir.
I am under the assumption that Team Gale is going to win this entire thing.
No.
And that Team Inferno is still going to make it through because they still have Punk, and that's still a huge pain in the ass. But the only team that has showed any strategy and partially luck in order to, they didn't just win on sheer skill. They won because they were able to snipe out a bad matchup for Punk. And that was really important. And I don't think any other team has that kind of a roster that is able to do that same thing. Yeah, I don't think there's any other character that Colleen really struggles against if you ban the Karen. No one has characters that really deals with it, right? I can't think of anything that would go unbanned in this scenario. And they're the only team that has that kind of strength. And Punk I don't even think Punk's thinking about it when he goes in. He doesn't care about the matchup. He's gonna be like, I want to play Colleen. I'm gonna play this character. And Team Gale's like, you idiot! You fell for the oldest trick of the book. So, yeah, Team Gale's awesome. They're gonna win this whole thing. Inferno's still gonna do super well because they're still super strong, and I don't think any other team can take them. But Team Gale needs to sort their shit out against other teams. They can't let bad losses happen again, where they go down. Otherwise, it's gonna be tougher.
So your top. Okay, go ahead. Good.
The second head-to-head. I'll give you that, and that'll make Team Inferno 8-2. I'm good with that.
All right, so Mortsy, you locking in the top 2, Team Inferno, Team Gale?
Yeah, I'll lock that in.
Geki, who are your top 2? Who's going on to season 2?
Lock it in.
Team Spirit number 2. Even though I want them to be number 1, I just think it's not mathematically possible to be number 1, even if they OCV every team. I think. Is that right?
No, they can mathematically still be number 1, assuming Team Inferno loses every single game.
And there's a massive shit show for everyone else.
Correct,
Okay,
but they are
number
mathematically in. Okay.
Okay, number two then for Team Spirit, even though I don't believe Inferno will lose every single tournament or every single match. Then I think Team Gale will probably take first.
As is correct.
Yeah.
All right.
I want them to.
Splice.
I believe that's how the chips are gonna fall.
All right, SplicedHelix, we know who your number 1 is. Who else gets locked in for season 2?
This is history repeating itself. But You know, your question earlier, buy or sell. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna sell all stocks in Team Inferno, and buy all the stocks in Team Inferno. All of them. It's gonna be a repeat. You guys are up. Team Gale. No. Inferno. You're not gonna get it.
Okay, so who's your second? Who's your second team? Who else is making season 2?
I can see Gale taking second. I'll give you second place.
Okay.
I will guarantee that to you. But not first. No.
Okay, you guys can make a side bet or whatever afterwards if you would like. That would be a really, really interesting side bet between the panelists. But that does it for us for episode 5, match day.
No.
Wait, what?
You haven't picked.
That's true. You're currently on Team Gale.
I am still currently on Team Gale, well, no, I'm also going to pull a Geki and flip-flop only based on the poor decision that NuckleDoo made, unable to close out Team Storm last week by picking G in that matchup. And I think if he's going to nonchalantly continue to do that, Team Gale will fall out of that top 2 spot. So it is, my opinion right now, it is going to be 1 Team Inferno and 2 Team Storm.
Samurai.
Someone had to do it, man.
Yeah, I'm buying the standings literally as they are right now. I don't see anything changing. They're not going to unban Laura, which means Akuma with momentum is going to run roughshod through this tournament. The only other loss, I will go as far as even predict their record. Inferno will finish 8-2, maybe 9-1. I think that they're going to run the table. Okay?
That's bold even for me.
Okay. Team Storm will finish 7-3. And the only reason that they will finish 7... I'm saying they're only going to lose one more time. And I think it's only going to be against Team Inferno. That's...
bold of you.
That's my pick. There we go. That does it for us for this week on Beyond the Fist. If you guys have any questions for the panel or myself, or if you would like to contribute to the discussion, you can send us a tweet. Send us a tweet using the hashtag BeyondTheFist with all of our Twitters there down below. Good luck to Mortsy, of course, who will be traveling to Chicago for Combo Breaker. Say hi to him when you do get a chance. Hope you guys do appreciate everything that he's done so far in his first full season of being able to travel. This is his second major outside of Canada, so Fangboy's gonna fly. All video footage from today's livecast is used with permission from Capcom. Follow the SFL and the Capcom Pro Tour on Twitch at twitch.tv/CapcomFighters, on YouTube at youtube.com/CapcomFighters, and on Facebook Live, facebook.com/CapcomFighters. Week 7, match day 6 airs tomorrow on Twitch at 4 p.m. Pacific time, as well as on YouTube and on Facebook Live. For more information on what we're doing here, visit Toga TV on YouTube and follow the channel that you are watching right now. For the panel, Geki, Mortsy, and SplicedHelix, I am togashiazrael. What do we see beyond our fists? The second half of the season coming up tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye.